Imagine being judged not for your skill or effort, but for someone else's impatience. That's exactly what happened to Sam, a hardworking farmhand who took pride in doing things right, even if it took a little extra time. His boss, Mr. Clayton, was the kind of man who valued speed over care, always quick to criticize, especially when it came to Sam. One day, after a particularly rough exchange where Sam was called out in front of the whole team, he quietly made a decision that would change everything. What Mr. Clayton didn't know was that Sam wasn't just working on the farm to get by. He was learning, studying, preparing for something big. And soon, the boss who belittled him for being too slow would find himself facing a surprising competitor. Stay tuned to see how the tables turn in this gripping tale of determination, respect, and unexpected rivalry. Sam had always been a quiet but observant worker. He didn't complain, even when the workload was unfair or the criticism stung. Every evening after a long day at the farm, he'd head home, his hands calloused but his mind busy with ideas. What no one knew, not even Mr. Clayton, was that Sam had been saving every dollar he earned. He'd been researching, learning about soil health, crop rotation, and sustainable farming techniques. While others dismissed his calm demeanor as weakness, Sam was building a vision for something greater. Meanwhile, Mr. Clayton's farm ran like a machine, fast, efficient, but careless. Fields were overworked, crops often came out subpar, and workers like Sam were blamed for every misstep. The tension grew daily, but Sam stayed focused. He knew his time would come. What pushed Sam to the edge wasn't just the insults. It was a chance discovery that would change everything. One afternoon, while working in the fields, Sam overheard a heated conversation between Mr. Clayton and one of the suppliers. The supplier was upset about the farm's deteriorating quality, warning that they might stop doing business altogether. Sam pretended not to listen, but his heart raced. He knew that shortcuts were catching up with Mr. Clayton, and for the first time, he saw an opportunity. If he could create a farm that focused on quality and care, he might not just succeed. He could outshine the man who constantly belittled him. Meanwhile, tensions on the farm escalated. Workers were quitting, fed up with Mr. Clayton's harsh attitude, leaving Sam to take on even more responsibility. Despite the added workload, Sam remained calm, taking mental notes about everything he'd do differently on his own farm. But when Mr. Clayton confronted Sam yet again, accusing him of sabotaging the team, something inside him snapped. Days turned into weeks, and Sam's quiet determination turned into action. Every free moment he had was spent preparing his land, sourcing seeds, and reaching out to a small but trusted network of suppliers. He kept his plans to himself, carefully avoiding any attention. On the surface, he was still the same calm, dependable worker, showing up each day to Mr. Clayton's farm. But beneath that calm exterior, a storm was brewing. Mr. Clayton, however, began to notice changes. Orders were dropping, and the suppliers who once relied on him now seemed distracted by whispers of something new. Frustrated, he took his anger out on the workers, making the already tense environment unbearable. He even began watching Sam more closely, suspecting that his most reliable employee might be involved in the mysterious competition. One day, Sam arrived at work to find Mr. Clayton waiting for him, his face red with suspicion. "What are you hiding, Sam?" he demanded. The confrontation had begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. Sam stood still, feeling the weight of Mr. Clayton's glare. "I'm not hiding anything," he said calmly, though his heart pounded. But Mr. Clayton wasn't convinced. "Don't lie to me," he snapped. "I've heard the rumors about some new farm trying to steal my business. And I know you've been distracted lately. What are you up to?" The workers nearby stopped what they were doing, their curiosity now mixed with tension. Sam knew he couldn't give anything away just yet. "I do my job here like I always have," he replied evenly, locking eyes with Mr. Clayton. "If you're losing business, maybe you should look at how you run things." That remark hit a nerve. Furious, Mr. Clayton stormed off, but the confrontation wasn't over. Later that evening, Sam found tire tracks leading up to his property, and the gate to his field slightly ajar. Someone had been snooping, and Sam had a sinking feeling it wasn't a coincidence. The next morning, Sam arrived at the farm to find Mr. Clayton waiting for him again, this time with a smug grin. "I know what you've been doing," Mr. Clayton sneered. "Sneaking around, planning to undercut me. You think you can compete with me? You're just a farmhand." Sam took a deep breath, steadying himself. "You're right," he said. "I was just a farmhand. But I've learned a lot here, like how cutting corners doesn't build trust, and how respect goes a long way." He stepped closer, his voice firm but calm. "I'm not here to undercut you, Mr. Clayton. I'm here to do better." Before Mr. Clayton could respond, one of his largest suppliers pulled up, walking past him to shake Sam's hand. "We've heard great things about your new farm, Sam," the supplier said. "We're excited to work with you." As Mr. Clayton's face twisted with shock, Sam couldn't help but feel a flicker of triumph. But just as things seemed settled, another car pulled up, a local news crew, eager to cover the story of the rising competitor. The spotlight wasn't just on Sam's farm anymore. It was on how Mr. Clayton had pushed him to succeed. The cameras rolled as Sam shared his story, how he started as a worker eager to learn, how he faced challenges, and how he decided to create something better. The reporters were captivated by his humble beginnings and his vision for a farm built on quality and care. Meanwhile, Mr. Clayton stood on the sidelines, his pride crumbling as the truth came to light. For years, he had underestimated the quiet man who had been soaking in every lesson, preparing for this very moment. Sam's farm quickly became the talk of the town. Former workers from Mr. Clayton's farm approached him, inspired by his leadership and the respect he offered. Sam welcomed them with open arms, creating a team that shared his values. As the seasons passed, Sam's fields thrived, and so did his reputation. He had turned hardship into opportunity, proving that patience and persistence could grow more than just crops. They could grow a legacy.